I think it's influenced me more as an artist in particular than as a human being, because in the work that I do, I always try and convey this sense of longing, this sense of nostalgia, even for something I might not have personally experienced. I always try and capture this sort of desire, and I think that comes back to just hearing so much about Cuba and all that from my abuela. She was one of the Pedro Pan kids on the last flight from Cuba to the United States, pretty much, so she barely made it. But I think it comes from hearing her stories about that, and I'm thinking, I seem to have this image of Cuba so perfectly ingrained in my mind, but I know it can't be real because I've never been there. Mm-hmm. And the way that I think most Cuban Americans think of it is this like golden place that their grandparents have made out to be so beautiful, but in reality, it couldn't have been. They wouldn't have left otherwise. So I feel like there's a lot that we as Cuban Americans who never lived there ourselves just will never understand.
So my father came here with nothing really, and I adore hearing my grandmother's stories of being in Cuba in the early 50s. I mean, that's right when Castro came in, but and I mean, in the 50s, and the stories that she says. My father's side is from Havana, and my mother is from a small town in the upper and northern part of Cuba. And it's really lovely. I actually do have some connection. My great grandfather was the no, not my great grandfather. Yes, perhaps. No, my grandfather's great grandfather. So it would be my great grandfather.
3 or 4 greats.
Yes, it was the general of the Cuban military, and my grandfather's cousin, that's too far removed for me to remember who that is to me, was actually an author, and he went around the entire world and wrote a book for Cuba, and he was right next to the president at the time, prior to the communist regime, and it's really lovely things.
The only way I can possibly tell you how I actually feel about this is by comparing it. So this summer I went to Jersey, and it was like the suburb of Jersey, and it was like there was no diversity at all, and I felt so deprived, and that's like the moment I realized that like being Cuban was such a big part of my like identity and my personality, because in Miami you walk around, you hear people talking Spanish, and you automatically know it's Cuban. You go to restaurants and they have at least one Cuban dish. You hear salsa wherever you go. Like, it's such a beautifully diverse and vibrant community, and I can't imagine my life without it. I literally can't.
And I hear from my abuelo's side how they lived on a farm right on the water, and he said something really interesting that my mom told me a while back. So he came to the Freedom Tower right down here in Miami, and they were either going to put him somewhere in Alabama or in Chicago, and he saw that Chicago, like he saw Lake Michigan on the map, and he was like, oh, Chicago will be right on the water, just like my farm in Cuba. And it was December, so they gave him a coat and some gloves, a hat and a scarf, very cheap stuff, but they gave it to him, and he was really confused. He was like, why are you giving me all this? And then he gets there to like -20. I don't even know where I was going with that. It was just, that was a nice story. Another one was, my abuelo had told his wife in Cuba, not my abuela, he remarried once he got here, but he told his wife in Cuba, I'm gonna be leaving, I can't tell you when, but I'm gonna leave, I have to get out of here, because he was in some trouble with like the local authorities or whatever, and he had to go. So he told her that, and every night, like, she would wonder, oh my God, is this gonna be the night? Is this gonna be the night? And then there was one night where she sees him like sitting in his chair in the living room, and he's smoking and he's drinking and he's like shaking. And she goes, "You're leaving tonight, aren't you?" And he plays it off. He's like, "No, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not leaving tonight. You're crazy." Next morning, he's just gone. And she sees her son. She sees her son kind of sitting on the beach right there, because again, their farm was right on the water. She sees her son sitting on the shore, and he's like looking out at the water and all that. And she goes to him like, "¿Qué hay allá afuera?" Like, what's out there? And he just says, "Mi papá." And when I heard that story, like that hit.